Okay, welcome everyone. I see a lot of people already joining. We still have 2 minutes until it's 1. I think we should wait a couple of more minutes. Feel free to already let me know in the chat what your expectations are for today's webinar. Feel free to introduce yourself, tell us more what you do and what you're interested in, and maybe I can take these information with me to the webinar, and but we will wait a couple more minutes, so stay tuned. So welcome again for everyone who just joined recently. We will wait 1 or 2 more minutes for everyone else to join, and then we will start. Feel free to say hello in the chat and let me know what your expectations are for today's webinar, or to introduce yourself, so feel free to do that. So welcome again to everyone who just joined. So we will start in 1 minute. I already see that a lot of you have joined, and I'm super excited to start. We will give the chance to those people who are still maybe in meetings and are busy. So let's just wait 1 more minute and then we can start. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and also let us know where you come from, what your expectations are towards this webinar today. That would highly interest me. So yeah, feel free. All right, everyone. So it's 2 minutes after 1. I think we should start now. So welcome again for everyone who has joined. I'm very happy that so many people took the time to join this webinar, how to beat your competition by using Chat and Voicebots in your e-commerce customer journey. So for the start, just one information, this webinar will be recorded and you will receive the link to it afterwards. So if you have to leave after 30 minutes, don't worry, you can still watch the video afterwards. And we will also send out this webinar as a PDF version, so you will receive all the slides. You don't have to take notes or anything like that. So you'll be provided all of this afterwards. And so you won't be recorded as in a video or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. And this webinar will roughly be a little bit longer than my usual ones, so this will be around 45 minutes. I collected a lot of information, which I hope will be interesting. And yeah, just a couple more information to me. So I co-founded BOTfriends 3 years ago with 3 of my co-founders, and since then I was mainly in charge of the projects that we were doing with our clients, And before that, I actually also studied e-commerce. So I actually come from a e-commerce field. I have gained experiences working at eBay as an intern, and also some experiences in the industry. So I guess it will be nice to speak today about e-commerce as well as chat and voice bots together today, and to combine those both experiences I have made over the last years. To give you a clearer picture of what we are going to talk today is, first of all, generally about the advantages that you can have when you are going to use chat and voice bots in the e-commerce customer journey. And then I will talk more about the application areas in e-commerce, so what kind of use cases you can develop there. And last but not least, I will speak about the success factors. So what is really important to have successful chat and voice bots in your e-commerce customer journey. So along this webinar, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I do have two colleagues in the chat who are maybe willing to answer that immediately there, but in the end, I will look through all the questions that came in and I will answer them. So in the end, you will have a lot of time to still ask questions. And for the beginning, I would like to start with a little poll, because I am very interested of how much experience with chat and voice bots, or with the technology generally, everyone has, to just have a better picture of how much into detail I can go, or how much do I have to explain. Now, I will start this poll now. It just takes 1 second to answer it. It's basically about how much experience you have. This poll is anonymously, so yeah, don't worry about that. And also you can see the results afterwards. So you can see, you can compare how many people already have experiences here and how many don't. Okay, so almost everyone has already participated. So 5 more people are left to answer, and then we're done. Okay, I will share the results. So we have some that have no experience, so that is totally fine. I will try to explain everything as easy as possible. We have a lot of people that already have a little knowledge and a lot of experts as well. So I guess it's quite varied. Yeah, so let's kick off, I would say. I actually brought a picture to kick off this webinar. Oh, actually, I would actually like to start with a little definition of conversational AI, because this will be important before I actually start. So for those of you who said that they don't have so much knowledge about chat and voice bots, I would like to just explain more the general term of conversational AI. So conversational AI automates communication in natural language at contact points using voice assistants and chatbots. And voice assistants in chatbots are a technology that are integrated on messaging platforms and that answer questions automatically with the help of machine learning. So there is really, let's say, some artificial intelligence behind that. It's not just rule-based, but it's really smart, because a lot of people doubt that and they still think that those systems are still not smart. The way they work, just to explain it roughly, is basically that the systems always try to identify what is the intention of the user with the question he or she asks. So for example, my intention is that I would like to know the weather forecast, and to make the system able to understand that what my intention is of my question, we need to feed the system training data. So for the intent weather forecast, we would need example questions like, please tell me the weather forecast. I'm interested in if it's going to rain tomorrow. Do I need an umbrella tomorrow? What's the temperature like tomorrow? And all these are example questions that we feed the system. And once the user asks a question that is not the exact same that is already in the system, it will already still identify that this is the right intent. And that's usually how it works. And those chat and voice bots are usually integrated in those common messaging platforms like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp as well, but very commonly on the websites. It can be integrated on the phone as well, and as well on these common devices like Google Home or Amazon Alexa. So I hope that everyone has a common ground now, and now I'd like to and kick off the webinar with a picture that I brought. It's this one, and I think some of you already know it. It's a picture of the global shopping festival that Alibaba is hosting every year. It's called the Singles Day. And the Singles Day is kind of a contra event to the Valentine's Day. I'm not quite sure what the exact details are on this. However, what's more interesting is what's actually happening on this global festival, global shopping festival. Now, Alibaba is the biggest B2B e-commerce platform in China. And on this day, they are able to generate over $1 billion within just 1 minute, in 24 hours. It's really crazy if you think about these numbers. And you can only imagine what kind of stress Alibaba puts their whole infrastructure and logistics on that day when they have so many orders coming in. And the reason why they are able to do that is because all their decisions in the whole company, in every business unit, are based on data. And Alibaba understood like no other business how to connect with their customers via chat. Through these online conversations with their customers, they have a real-time feeling over what the users really want and how are their decisions based on these. And all those conversations that are handling with their customers are mainly handled by bots. So you can really see that you can achieve a great unfair advantage by using Chat and Voicebots in your e-commerce customer journey like Alibaba does. And to understand better their journey is to really see how long they have already been working on conversational AI. In 2015, they have launched their first bot, Ali Xiaomi, which was an AI-powered bot to handle inquiries and complaints. Now, this bot was so successful that they made the technology available to their merchants on the platform. So all the sellers on Alibaba's platform were now able to use bots to upgrade their customer service. And for example, one China's smartphone maker, I think they're called Xiaomi as well, were able to cut their customer service staff by 300 from 1,000 on that single day last year, while at the same time still handling the same volume of traffic. So this is really working for those sellers on the platform, and they are even able to deliver a better customer service to the consumers. Now, they are still they still maintain, they still try to be successful. And in 2018, Alimi, I guess that was the new name of the bot, was fully upgraded to provide even more services like pre-sales promotion during and post-sales automatic services. So they really expanded the functionalities it has. At the same time, they were also working on voice technologies. So they developed Ali Genie, which is basically equivalent to Google Assistant and Microsoft Cortana, and Apple Siri. And last year, they just announced that it's available on over 200 million devices, which is also just another crazy number. Now you might think, okay, they're using bots, fine, but I'm sure they aren't as good as, or they aren't as good as they are here, because a lot of people think that they are failing. However, Alibaba claims that over 90% of their customer inquiries are being understood and that they have over 3.5 million users per day. So I think this is amazing. And for me, this is a clear indicator that the technology is so far to be used, and we don't have to worry about that. We're not at that point where it's working, because I think big players like Alibaba show how to do it. And I believe that it's not only up for big players like Alibaba or Amazon to do that, but also for smaller sellers and smaller online shops. And everyone should take advantage of it. And that's why we're here today to talk more about it in detail. So generally, my last couple of sentences about China, because I like to compare our two worlds a little bit, because they're a little bit more advanced when it comes to bots. Their messaging platform, WeChat, has so many more functionalities than the equivalent WhatsApp here has. So people actually order taxis, they schedule hairstyle appointments via WeChat, and they also pay via WeChat. So it has even more functionalities, and the usage of bots has become very common. And it is also being said that people in China have a higher acceptance of bots in comparison to us, and they are less likely to get frustrated whenever they use them when they fail. So I think that was also interesting to know. I often get asked, how can I use Chat and Voicebots for my digital marketing? And I always say, if you provide an excellent customer service, this is your marketing. 80% of people say that the experience a business provides is as crucial as its goods or services. And also 52% of people have switched brands or service provider due to poor customer service. Now, these numbers speak for themselves, and I believe this is just a clear message. If you have an excellent customer service, this can be your unfair advantage in comparison to your competitors, because what we expect is really great customer service, and the expectations of consumers are just increasing over the last couple of years. And what even surprises me most is, if we talk about excellent customer service, is that 70% of people prefer to message instead of calling. And I see so many companies that don't even offer any messaging option on their website, but only a phone number. And we all know, once I call this number, I'll be stuck in line for minutes, maybe 1 hour. We don't know that. I'm sure that everyone already had a really bad experience with that. And so therefore, the first step is already to offer that messaging option, but I do see that companies say we don't have the resources to provide people that are on the chats the whole day answering the questions. And this is where bots can actually play in, because these days 80% of consumer requests can be answered by bots. So you don't need so many resources if you want to offer messaging, when already the standard and repeating requests can be answered by those bots. And the way messaging is so important is because it's so more convenient and comfortable to use for the users. I see myself being at work, writing my insurance company on a live chat, while at the same time I'm still writing an email. It's like I have the option to reply delayed, and I don't have to be on the phone the whole time, having my attention on it. So this is just super convenient, and some people don't even like to talk on the phone to other people because they don't feel comfortable with it, and therefore it's even another argument why you should offer it. And with Chat and Voicebots, we're able to actually don't require so many resources on that point. Now, the application areas for conversational AI are extremely broad. So this webinar is exclusively for e-commerce. However, I'd like to point out that it's not just e-commerce, but also internal communication, recruiting, procurement, IoT, and also maintenance in the industry. There's just so much potential. But there is one term that has been defined when it comes to e-commerce, and that is actually conversational commerce. This term has been described by Chris Messina, who was also the hashtag inventor and also one of the key Uber developers. And conversational commerce is basically the conversation between a merchant and a consumer in form of a digital virtual assistant. Now, conversational commerce is also about just delivering, again, this convenience and personalization and to support while people are on the go and with only partial attention to spare. And again, like Alibaba did, it's really to understand your customers, really evaluate the data and see what do my customers really want. When users are on the website and we are looking at the analytics, we can only think about what they actually wanted to do, but we will never know it. If we look on the chat, we will always see what users were writing, and I can clearly see what they were trying to achieve or to find out on that website. Now, I'd say we go into the second chapter of looking what the application areas are in the e-commerce customer journey, and for that, I thought it would make sense to actually look first at the classic funnel that we usually have. So it's all about, first of all, the awareness of a product, consideration, the decision phase, and then the closing part where the user actually buys. And then afterwards, after the purchase, it's about retention, after sales, and also advocate. Now I divided those two, I divided the whole journey into two different parts that I like to look at for the application areas for Chat and Voicebots, and that's pre-sales, pre-sales, promotion, also post-sales services. So let's look at the potential of application areas before the user actually buys, and then let's look at it after the user already bought. And for that, I'd like to share some use cases that I found and that we have also developed. So in the fashion industry, I think there is a lot of potential because I think that people like to be consulted whenever they try to find new clothes and articles. And there is this website called Ask Sophie, and in the beginning, I was being asked for what my style is, if I like more sporty clothes or more classic. And in the end, in a chat, I was being offered some different pieces of clothes, shoes, and basically this was just the beginning of how I can actually have a virtual shopping stylist consultant that helps me to find clothes. And I think this is a great start. However, this whole idea wasn't thought through till the end, so the bot is not working perfectly. But I think just generally, fashion is just a great opportunity for product consultation, because we like to be told what fits us and what should we buy, and that just makes us easier. Another area for consultation is also for Roto. We have built a chatbot for Roto, which is one of the typical German Mittelständler, and they are one of the leading providers for roof windows accessories. And their problem was that users had difficulties to actually find the right products on their website. And with this chatbot, it's unfortunately in German, so I will explain it in English. You will go through like a catalog of questions, like for what kind of room would you like to have a window accessory, for your bathroom, your bedroom, or your living room. And after that, I'll be asked if I want to have a heat protection or other functionalities, and then I'll receive the recommended product. And I think this was really helpful because of course, websites should be all about the user experience and should make it as easy as possible for users to find products. But I think it especially applies to products that are more complex. So I believe that products that are more complex and where users have a lot of questions on, and that can't be all placed in the interface of a website, then it makes sense to have a bot answering all those questions. And something similar we saw at the bot that we have developed for TUI Cruises. TUI Cruises also has a product that is very, not really complex, but users have so many questions about cruise ships. Now, you can only imagine if you're making up your mind of booking a trip on TUI Cruises, there are so many questions that need to be answered. For example, will there be mobile internet on the ship? How many restaurants are there? Are there vegan options? Is there a library? Is there a daily news? How long is the pool? Do they have sauna? And all these questions are legitimately on an FAQ page on the website. However, we all know that users are extremely lazy and they don't look for FAQ pages. And it's just so much more convenient to ask someone on the website for all those questions. And it's also very obvious that all these information that I just mentioned cannot be answered in one little interface of a website. It would be an information overflow to answer all those questions. And therefore, I think the great potential, again, in helping your users to make up their decision to buy is really to consult them and help them to make up their mind, to speak for your product, to explain it as easy as possible, so they are more likely to convert in the end. And some additional information to this chatbot is that it actually holds over 1,000 intents, maybe I think already 1,500, I'm not quite sure, but a lot of information, and it can really differentiate between all of those questions. So I think they have great results, also mainly due to the fact that the team there is working actively to improve and optimize the chatbot on a very weekly basis, and they're successful with that. So it's one of my favorite use cases to present because I know it's working. You should go on the website and try it out. It's just really nice. So let's look at the post-sales services. So what can you do after the user has already bought something? Now, the company BSH, so Bosch Siemens Hausholdings, offers plenty appliances like the Bosch washing machine, dryer, coffee machines, refrigerators, all of that. And we all know, I'm sure everyone at least had once in their lifetime bad experiences with an appliance. After some time, maybe you will see an error code on your washing machine display, or maybe your washing machine smells weird and not good anymore, or it makes weird noises while working. And for that, we need support after the purchase. And from a great brand, I expect that they help me in the easiest ways possible, because otherwise I'm not going to buy anymore a washing machine from Bosch if they don't help me if I have problems afterwards. So BSH's goal was really to increase customer satisfaction by offering best-in-class customer service in order to convert customers into loyal customers. So they really want their customers to be with them. And that is the case when, for example, I see an error code on my washing machine, and therefore I can write on Facebook Messenger, so I don't have to download an extra app. I'm already on the messaging platform that I already have installed on my smartphone. And I can send in easily the e-number of the washing machine by just typing it in, or I can also take a picture of the label that I have on the washing machine, so it's super easy. And then the chatbot will identify the numbers and send me either a user manual or also schedule an appointment with a technician. So it was also really the goal to increase customer satisfaction, to make after-sales support as easy as possible. Now the spot was launched in UK, Spain, and France in different languages, and on WhatsApp as well. Another use case which I think is very interesting, which is more in the last part of the customer journey, in the advocate, while we are trying to increase customer loyalty. Now Bosch is offering heaters. And some of you might have Bosch heaters at home, and for that, Bosch had the idea to create or to develop a virtual assistant called Tiada. And Tiada is available on Google Home and Facebook Messenger. And Tiada is actually able to control your heater temperature in your flat or in your home by you just typing either it on Facebook Messenger or speaking to Google Home. You're on your couch and you say, Tiada, I'm super cold, can you make it a little bit warmer? And then Tiada will automatically do that by sending the information to your heater. And the main goal was really to have a different relationship between the products Bosch is offering, because we usually have rather negative associations when we think about heaters. And with Tiada, they wanted to basically increase customer loyalty by saying, hey, I want my consumers to have a relationship with my brand. Tiada is representing Bosch, Tiada is representing my brand, and I want my users to stick with me and to keep using my products because they like my brand. And that was the goal behind it, and I really liked it because it was just, let's say, another use case, not the classic type of automating communication, but rather creating a new way of communication with your consumers. Okay, so we have talked about pre-sales promotion. We also talked about post-sales promotion, about the application areas. Now, I'm wondering if you actually think that the actual shopping process, like buying something, will be the future over chat and voice bots. And for that, I would like to run a poll, very similar to the one before. So it is anonymously, and it just takes a couple of seconds. I'm very curious for your opinion on this. So let me start this poll. Yeah, so do you think that shopping via chat and voice bots will be the future? Yes, maybe, I don't know. No, definitely not. Okay, almost everyone has participated. Okay, I guess we have a clear picture. I will stop the poll and I will share the results. So most of you actually think that it will be the future, which I think is interesting, because I actually thought that it was actually a little bit trickier to really have that, but when I look to China and the Eastern world, I do see that this is common, that people do that on a very regular basis. So what I thought is actually, so if we were to build a shopping bot for a client, I was thinking about, okay, you definitely need a web shop integration, and you will have that constant master data update. So depending on how many products you have in your inventory, I'm pretty sure that this integration will be a little bit more challenging, but I'm sure it will be available through those APIs that we have these days. However, I think it's still quite a challenge. And then on the other hand, I was thinking about that the conversational design for shopping is also not that easy, because I think that there are a lot of edge cases to that. So I haven't really written with a bot where I thought, okay, this shopping process was super easy and I would do it every day. And therefore, I actually made my mission to look for some good examples who actually made it possible. And then I found a company, or rather a startup, that where their whole mission and goal of the company is to actually sell exclusively via WhatsApp. And I thought that was interesting, and I was taking a look at it. And I would like to share with you my experience that I have, because I think we can learn a little bit from it, how you can do it in a very nice way. So this website is called Charles. It's called Hey Charles, and it's your virtual wardrobe. Now, I found Charles on the internet. However, on the product detail page, they are offering reduced prices when you are ordering via WhatsApp. So you can see their main mission is actually to sell via WhatsApp, because they also promote reduced prices. So they want you to go on this messaging platform. Just some background information. So Charles is offering basic products. So those basic socks, pants, sweaters. So really, really products that you buy repetitively on a regular basis. So I went on WhatsApp and I had a look at it. So this is in German. However, I will try to translate and explain it in English, what we can see here. And I had to write as an initiation message, hey Charles, how is it going? And he was basically explaining in the welcome message that this is the first WhatsApp shop in the world. He was explaining that he's away when he will be available. And in regards to the language, I think it was really nice, because he was calling me a pal or a mate. So everything is just super friendly, and it actually feels like I'm writing with a real friend. I'm also getting offered an extra €5 discount on my first order, which I think was nice. So always also trying to make the user more likely to convert here. And you can also see that there are a lot of emojis being used. So this also makes it very natural. So I really have the feeling that I'm writing with a friend here. Now, to get started, he was presenting me the product categories that he has. So we can see that he has these merino sweaters, some pants, t-shirts, boxers, and shirts. And I really liked the way the product categories were presented. So in WhatsApp, it's actually even a bigger challenge, because you don't have a lot of rich media options. You can send out pictures, but that's it. From some chatbots, you might have seen that you can use buttons. So you can click through a conversation, which makes it super easy and fast. And for example, in Facebook Messenger, you would probably place these buttons like super pants, t-shirts as real buttons. But Charles has all those pictures in one picture combined, and has displayed these buttons in here. And also he's positioning some USPs here, like Charles basics are all made in Europe, which is also, again, trying to convert you more, displaying those unique selling points to you as a consumer, which I think was just a smart way. So I, as a user, felt like I had to write one of these product categories, so it was super clear for me what to do. And again, when I chose the super pants, he was presenting the different colors of it, that I have the navy blue and the black. And again, USPs were positioned here in this picture by saying that all the pants are made in Portugal, which I think is, again, an argument for me to buy. And yeah, I just think that it was a nice way on how it was being displayed and solved and designed, basically. Now, last but not least, I chose the black pants, and the last part was to actually choose for a size. And here he also offers to help me, like I would have to write my height and my weight, and then he would recommend a size for me. This is really good because I think so many people have struggle on websites to actually select their real size because they don't know how it's going to fit, how this specific brand is going to fit to them. And as I said, this personal consultation is just great. And here I think it was funny because just a couple of seconds later, he was sending out a picture that's the way how it looks from the back. And I think that was just funny. I guess it's just generally to work on this customer relationship. And as I said, it really feels like I'm writing with a friend here. And that's how shopping should be. Shopping should be fun. It should be with your friends. That's how you would imagine offline shopping. And that's a way how you can do it online as well. So it feels like I'm going shopping with my best friend here. And that's what I really liked about it. Yeah, I was also trying to find an example of how voice shopping could look like. So I'm not quite sure how the audio is going to turn out for you. I will just try it. Let's see.
Order me some sunscreen.
Okay, here's something from Walgreens on Google Express. I can get Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Dry Touch Sunscreen Lotion, SPF 100 plus 3.0 fluid ounce tube for $15.98 after tax. Should I order that?
Yes, please.
Okay, you're all set. Your order will arrive by Tuesday. For order details.
Yeah, so as you can see, ordering via Google Home on Walgreens was extremely easy. My takeaway generally from shopping via bots is that it definitely has high potential at the moment for articles that are bought repeatedly. So as you can see with Charles, things like socks, like boxers or basic t-shirts will be bought on a regular basis. And for me personally, I wanted to buy as easy as possible. I don't want to have thousands of options when I want to buy socks. I want just to have some simple, comfortable socks. And I think Charles has a good, let's say a good start into this. I also believe that for products that you buy repeatedly, that voice has a great potential as well, because if I know that the socks from Charles is the one that I'm always going to wear for the rest of my life, I will say to Google, hey, can you order me these socks? So I think there's just great potential. And yeah, also with, I think, some really sophisticated design when it comes to fashion, that should be possible as well to also maybe buy other products, more complex products on bots as well. But yeah, I think we should still wait for some other great examples that will come out. And yeah. Now, this was all about the application areas. To wrap this up, at this point, we still have another chapter, is actually to talk about the revolution is right at the door, about the journey that e-commerce is actually taking. Now, 20 years ago, e-commerce was the revolution. It brought us freedom of buying goods and ordering services online, and e-commerce generally has changed the world. Now, roughly 10 years ago, when the iPhone was launched in the App Store and everyone was spending their time on their smartphones, it was super important to have mobile responsive websites, so users were able to also shop on their smartphone for your products. So we had that era of mobile commerce. But these days, we actually realize that still a lot of people are mainly purchasing on the mobile phone. That's fact. However, what we have realized is that the most of the time we spend on our smartphones is just in a limited amount of apps. It's WhatsApp, it's Facebook Messenger, and it's unfortunately not the H&M app or the other online brands, the other apps of online brands. And it's just so unfortunate because companies spend so much time and resources in developing apps, but we are app tired. The society is app tired. We want to spend our time in the apps we already have. And therefore, I think that's how the new era of conversational commerce is going to originate. So we want to talk to our brands via messaging platforms, and this will be also the era that before virtual commerce comes. So when we talk about virtual commerce, this is actually that purchases can take place in virtual rooms with VR glasses. And if I imagine myself being in a virtual room trying to look for some pants that fit me, I want to have a virtual assistant that basically looks like my best friend and that helps me to find the perfect pants. And that virtual assistant can only work out if we already walk through this conversational commerce phase, when we know how we have to talk and speak to our users and worked on the data and optimized our bots to the fullest, so we can make virtual commerce also happen. And that's where I believe the journey is going to go. Now, for the last part, I would like to talk more about success factors for chat and voice bots in e-commerce. So what is now really important when you want to start with it, and what is crucial for the success of it. Now, there's many people that say that chatbots fail and that the technology is not good enough. And I do understand that, because there are so many bots out there that don't work and that are not being optimized. And that is where the problem lies. So one problem is, of course, as well, that when it comes to the technologies of chat and voice bots, we have a wide range of different providers. Everyone has their NLP service or different functionalities, and some of them have just partial solutions. And it's just super difficult to decide for one. And once you have decided for one and you've been developing with it, you will struggle along your journey of pushing it live and working with it after they go live, because you don't have the right tools at the hand to improve it. And so the technology side is definitely a challenge. But what's even more important is actually the time that comes after the go live. So if you want to have successful bots running in your company, you need resources and processes that actually optimize and train the bot afterwards. We always say that a chatbot is like a baby; it has to learn. It's not like a website or an app that I'm developing on for years and years, and then it just goes live and it's done. It's rather a shorter time of development and designing, and then you go live quicker, and you start learning from it. And with those learnings, you have to optimize it on a daily or on a weekly basis and as fast as possible, because at the moment we still have to forethink the conversation with those users. And once it goes live, we will actually see how the reality is and what users are actually asking. And at that point, we really need to work with the data to see if the chatbot is answering those questions correctly. If not, feed the system with new knowledge so that the next time a user asks the same question, the chatbot will know the right answer. So this is really crucial to understand, that it also has to be some change in the company, cultural change. And when I talk about cultural change, I mean that there needs to be an overall strategy for AI. The CEO of eBay, Devin Bannock, has said at the Shop Talk conference in Las Vegas that if you don't have an AI strategy, you are going to die in the world that is coming. So please don't see voice and chatbots as like a small innovation that you're just trying out. Let it be a POC, and then it just vanishes in a drawer somewhere and is never being looked at again. For this, you really need a strategy. Think about what is your long-term roadmap. And for this, I'd like to show you an example of Vodafone. So they have launched Toby, and Toby basically gives customer quick access to information and advice, and 12% of their inquiries at Vodafone are no longer to Vodafone's customer service are no longer answered conclusively by employees, but by the bot. And they claim that in March 2021, 60% of customer contacts should be handled via chatbot. So that's what I mean. They have a clear vision, a clear goal of what they're trying to achieve. And that's what I think is just so important. You need a long-term roadmap and think about how you can improve and make it even better and bigger. So they have their bots in different countries on different channels. You can reach it via SMS or Facebook Messenger, I think. So various ways of it. And that's definitely what you need, a strategy behind that. Another factor that I like to talk about is the conversational design factor, because apart from developing it, you need to put a lot of thinking into the design part. So as I said, you have to forethink the conversation and really to design it. And for this, I'd like to take a model that we already know from conversion optimization. It's called the 7-level model, and it illustrates how decision processes work while we are on a website and on the mission to purchase something. So instead of looking at a rather classic funnel, the model orients to a human brain. So it shows, each level shows like the factors that play in while we make up our decision to buy something. So when users are on a website, we have this inner unconscious dialogue when we're trying to think about if we should buy it or not. And we ask us thousands of questions unconsciously that we don't even know. So we ask ourselves, is this product relevant? Sorry. Do I really need it? Is this website even safe? Can I order here? Do I feel, okay, I'm not asking myself if I feel stimulated by the pictures, but it obviously has something to do with it. So we ask ourselves, is there relevance? Is there trust? Is there orientation? Am I being stimulated? Is there security or comfort? And in the end, also feedback. And when designing for shop bots, so bots that we're shopping on, I think all these levels should also be applied in the conversation design. So when we think about Charles, I felt stimulated very much because I was talking to what felt like a friend, and he was displaying great pictures, and also it increased my trust because I was talking to someone that I felt super friendly and funny to me. And yeah, if we like someone, also trust is being increased. And we should definitely take these levels into consideration when we design for shopping via bots, because they not only apply on websites, on the experience on landing pages we have, but also the experience we have with bots. And if we design for chat and voice bots, I think it's also important to really differentiate between the different platforms. So as I said, WhatsApp has completely different rich media functionalities like Facebook Messenger. So you can see here we have the buttons that we can click on, which we don't have in WhatsApp. So I think it was smart to display them like this. And also when it comes to voice, the experience is completely different. Here you have to ask yourself questions like, is the user able to interrupt the bot while he or she's speaking or not? So a completely different way of designing, and you should keep that in mind when you do that. And the last part of success factors, I think, is that you should develop a sophisticated personality and tonality. Now, when it comes to shopping, I would like to spend the time with someone that I like. If I go to stores outside, I will go with my friend, and if I would like to be consulted on buying a pants, I'm not going to talk to someone that I can't identify with. So you really need to make sure to see who is your target group, who is buying your product, and to whom do they want to talk to? Who's the person they want to be consulted with whom do they like to spend time with, and whoever that person is should be displaying and representing that brand. And the last message that I'd like to give you on your way is that we as BOTfriends believe that conversational AI and virtual assistants are going to be the new face of your brand. These days, we might still think of the golden M sign when we think about McDonald's, but I'm sure that in the future, we will think about some virtual assistant that might have the name Mr. Mac, and with Mr. Mac, we will be in contact either in the offline restaurants when we're ordering. At the counter, there will be this robot called Mr. Mac, and if I go on their website to order online, it will be him again. So we believe that's where the journey is going to take us. So again, I think that's why it's so crucial to think about a unique personality and tonality when you design and build up your strategy for conversational AI. So that was the whole webinar. It was quite a little bit longer, I understand, and I thank everyone who was hanging in and still paying attention. For the last part, I'd just like to to give you some advices. So at BOTfriends, we offer a chatbot canvas. So if you're interested in designing and developing a bot, you can download that on our website. I think we are also going to send it out via email a couple of days later. So it looks at all the aspects that are relevant when working on a chatbot project. And if you have questions while working with it, feel free to always reach out. We can consult you for free. We can talk about your use cases and talk about how it can be done, basically. And that's what we do. We make it done. I don't know if you can say it like that, but we are well known to be the company in Germany that develops voice and chatbots that actually go live, because we make sure to consult our clients on how to actually operate those bots and make it better from the day they go live and optimize them. So that's what we do. We work with clients together to build these solutions, mainly on our own platform called BOTfriends X. On BOTfriends X, it's a conversational middleware platform that integrates popular services from Google, Microsoft, or Rasa, so all those best practice chatbot services that we have identified. And at the same time, even more importantly, it offers tools to operate and train the chatbot to make it better for people that have no technical knowledge, that are from different business units. And that's, I think, the crucial part, and that's why we focused on it. Now, finally, we have time for questions. Let me see if everything was clear that I said it. If not, it's not a problem. So I will look through the chat and see if there are any questions already that came in. Just give me a moment. Okay. Okay, so some questions came in. Do you have your own framework for developing these bots, or you use Alibaba's framework? I'm not quite sure what Alibaba is using. I'm sure they have their own technology. We are, as I said, we are working with our conversational middleware platform, and that integrates best practice chatbot services. So it is built on, for example, Google Dialogflow, so Google's natural language processing service, which we gained most experiences on, because at the moment we think it has the best natural language processing service. But you can also work with Microsoft Lewis, for example, or also Rasa technology. But most of our projects we do with Google technologies. So our platform is actually built flexibly, so you can work with any framework that is very common here, and that is the best currently on the market. But we prefer Google technology, and it has been working very well for us so far. Yeah, so there are questions about collaborating. Everything in regards to collaboration, I will forward that to our product manager for talking about technical integrations into our platform. So I will do that. So it seems that there is no more questions coming in. Oh, let me see, wait, there's another question coming in. Is there a delay in conversation and voice bots? So there's a question. From your experience, how difficult is it for you clients to set up all the relevant answers, and how do they come up with them? So it's not a difficult task. They usually look at their existing data and see what were the questions that were asked, what are the standard questions, the questions that always come in, and then they would collect them. And for those questions, you usually have to define 15 to 20 example questions. And you can do that in our platform. It's super easy. And generally, it doesn't take that long. So it can be up to 2 weeks that you can already go live. And we have also developed a Corona chatbot for the city here, for some cities actually. And we actually went live with that within just, I don't know, I think 3 days or something. 3 days working full-time on the content, but it actually worked. So it's not like a month's project. It really goes faster than you think. And do you know if the peeps at Charles use simple word matching or something more complex with several integrations? So when I was writing with Charles, one thing that I forgot to mention is that it actually, the bot stopped talking to me after I was trying to select the size. And after a couple of minutes, a human was taking over. So I think they're still not far when it comes to the technical development, so what's behind the bot Charles. I think they're still trying to see if the user acceptance is there, if users are going to use it, because at the moment it's not thought through or developed through, so it stops after the size, and then a human is taking over and doing the rest. Yeah, so we'll see how this is going to develop, but so far I don't think there is a great sophisticated technology behind it at the moment. Okay, so if you have any more questions, feel free to write me on LinkedIn or write me an email. I'm happy to answer them. Thank you again for watching. I hope it was interesting for everyone. Yeah, and if you have any feedback, please write me. There will be more webinars coming up. There will be one next month for chatbots in crisis communication. This will be in German, and afterwards we'll talk more about maybe the differences between designing chats and voice bots. I still think that's interesting, and also talking more about KPIs and analytics. So stay tuned and watch out for our newsletter that is coming out, because we will announce all of these digital events that are coming soon. So yeah, I wish everyone to stay healthy. That's the most important thing. And I hope everyone still enjoys their afternoon, and hope to see you again in my webinar. Thank you very much.